A visceral take on the brutality of a dictatorship, a portrayal of a woman searching for justice and truth, an emotional, exhilarating depiction of human tenacity. In these changing and uncertain times, filmmakers seem increasingly drawn to revisiting troubled periods in history. Walter Salles' title is the perfect example of this new trend. His latest movie, I'm Still Here, will soon be mandatory viewing. A perfect example of how world cinema can connect with global audiences in a way Hollywood seems to be missing these days. It's one of my favorite films of last year, and I'm here to prove to you why it deserves all the praise and accolades it has received. I'm Pedro from Vinyl N Celluloid, and this is my review of I'm Still Here. In today's world, it's easy to feel like democracy has been compromised. The signs are everywhere, but people are slow to react. Audiences, which are just regular people really, consume content quickly, whether it's news or entertainment, and they forget it just as fast. That's why films like Walter Salles' I'm Still Here are so important. We don't see movies like this anymore, at least not that often. In terms of tone and themes, it reminds me of one of my all-time favorite titles, the 1982 Palme d'Or winner, Missing. Both films deal with political corruption, government conspiracies, and the emotional toll of authoritarian regimes. Missing follows outsiders caught in a foreign crisis, but I'm Still Here goes further, placing a native citizen at the center of the story, right in the heart of the action. There's added gravitas and relevance to the plot, mainly by the fact that it chronicles real-life events, the 1971 disappearance of Brazilian Congressman Rubens Paiva during the military dictatorship. The film is adapted from the eponymous biographical novel written by one of Paiva's children, Marcel Rubens Paiva. Having an autobiography as source material certainly helps to make a good movie, and that's true here. But even that isn't enough on its own. You need a capable director. Walter Salles brings the story to life with his precise vision and the sensibility that only a person who experienced life under the military regime could possess. And now, as per usual, before I share the reasons why I like this movie so much, let me quickly recap the story. I'm Still Here begins in 1970, 6 years after the military coup that brought dictatorship to Brazil. Ex-Congressman Rubens Paiva, played by Celton Mello, who had gone into self-exile, returns to Rio de Janeiro with his family. Continuing his past opposition to the 1964 coup, Paiva secretly continues to support anti-regime movements. His wife Eunice, played by Fernanda Torres, and their 5 children remain unaware of his ongoing involvement. When a far-left revolutionary group kidnaps the Swiss ambassador, the military targets Paiva's home for a raid. This leads to his arrest and subsequent disappearance, leaving the family in uncertainty. Kept in the dark about her husband's activities, Eunice takes charge of the search for Rubens. Facing the harsh political repression of the era, she becomes determined to find justice. She contacts authorities and the legal system only to be met with silence and misinformation at every turn. At the same time, Eunice struggles to hold her family together under constant surveillance and harassment from the government. Eventually, she is taken in for questioning, which only strengthens her resolve. And now for the reasons why you should watch this movie. The first one, it's a true story of resilience. If I had to sum up I'm Still Here in one word, it would be resilience. The film gives us hope. Despite facing immense repression and hardship, we follow a family led by its matriarch, as they seek justice and truth. Eunice, who pursued a law degree at 48, became a human rights lawyer and dedicated her life to fighting for her husband and others who suffered under the dictatorship. She also advocated for indigenous rights in Brazil. The film shows us the Paiva's family and their incredible strength and determination, particularly through Eunice's journey. We witness their intimate struggles, moments of fear, resilience, and sacrifice as the lead character navigates life without her husband, but never giving up hope. The story is deeply personal, yet reflects the broader impact of Brazil's dictatorship on countless families who endured similar tragedies. whilst playing nicely to global audiences as a relatable and engaging title. And with a focus on Eunice, let's move on to the second reason that made me love this movie, Fernanda Torres. Fernanda Torres' performance in I'm Still Here is a masterclass in acting. She truly deserves every accolade she's up for. As I already mentioned, this movie reminded me of Missing, and Torres' performance is one of the reasons why. Like Jack Lemmon and Sissy Spacek in that film, Torres captures the search for a missing loved one with raw emotion. Her performance is remarkable both because of how she unintentionally captures the two aforementioned performances and the power of her talent. The actress's expressive gaze shows a deep internal loneliness even when she's surrounded by people. There's real anguish and emotion in her portrayal of Eunice. I believe her own experiences under the regime helped shape this moving performance. The actress takes the character from a housewife to a determined figure of strength. She balances grief and resilience whilst protecting her family and searching for her husband. It's a performance that's subtle but never melodramatic and always conveying the weight of the real life figure's struggles. And speaking of struggles, here's the third reason why you should watch this movie. It's a title with emotional depth without exploitation. There's a certain sensitivity required to turn tragedy into art. It takes deep introspection to choose an angle that makes the story both compelling and truthful without slipping into the risky territory of exploitation. Many times before, we've seen how even skilled directors can stumble with one or all of these elements. Salles wisely focuses on the daily life of a Brazilian family with political ties as the film's central hook. It's a wise choice, offering a compelling perspective on a tumultuous period in Brazil's history that both educates and shocks without resorting to extreme violence, but rather psychological pressure and reasonable emotions. Memories of times, places, and lost loved ones are the seasoning Salles uses to keep us emotionally connected to a reality that isn't our own. Never for a moment does he get close to the pitfall of excessive sentimentality or the cliches often found in Hollywood productions. What he achieves is what I rarely call mandatory viewing for both cinema aficionados and casual viewers. Tied to this last segment, we find a fourth reason why you should watch the movie. I'm Still Here excels in cultural authenticity. This adds a layer of realism that pulls viewers into the story and makes the film feel genuine. Authenticity isn't just about superficial details or throwing in cultural references for the sake of it. In this case, it's deeply rooted in the film's setting and atmosphere. The cinematography stands out, especially with the Super 8 sequences provided by Vera Paiva, the eldest daughter, which perfectly captures the period. Vera's character plays a key role in immersing us in this world. She's not only discovering her own political awareness as she directly faces the forces of the regime, but she also a typical young person in touch with the music trends of the time. This makes the film's eclectic score feel natural and seamless. And speaking of music, the song selection featuring iconic Brazilian artists like Gal Costa and Os Mutantes, led by Rita Lee, was perfectly curated. These references effectively juxtapose the vibrant cultural landscape of 1970s Brazil with the harsh political repression at the time. And so these are the reasons why I recommend I'm Still Here to you. The film is up for 3 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Actress in a Leading Role for Fernanda Torres, and Best International Feature. Both Torres' performance and international feature categories have strong chances of converting these nominations into wins. Among the 10 Best Picture nominees this year, I'm Still Here stands shoulder to shoulder with The Brutalist as the two most important and relevant films of the year. The themes in both titles are not just historical, they're still with us today. Watching this movie, you feel anger and frustration at the injustice it portrays, but by the end, you leave the screening with a renewed sense of hope for the future. After all, if we've overcome so many years of lead, why wouldn't we stop at new attempts at eroding our freedoms?